Hey guys, it's Katie Cakes here, and today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up. I read 12 books this month. 3 of them were fairly large, so yeah. Last month I read 18, so I'm 5 down from last month, but technically not with how big some of these books are. And I still think that's pretty good with how much stuff I had going on for the wedding. I am now currently 20 days away from the wedding, so it's not a lot of time, but I'm still trying to read. It's my happy, relaxing time stuff, so trying. Some of the books I got rid of because I didn't like them, so I unhauled them so that I could get different books. So yeah, and I've also been really bad at my Romanceopoly TBR that I had for last month, so I only completed 2 of them out of the 7. So I got sidetracked by other books. But I'm going to try this month, so hopefully, but this month is going to be extremely busy with how much wedding stuff I have to do. But I'm going to try. But anyway, let's get on to the TBR. So the first book that I read was My Favorite Half Nightstand by Christina Lauren. This was the first book that I had read by this author. Sorry, my Goodreads is acting up. I loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. What are you doing? So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. I literally started it at like 6. No, later than that. I think I started it at like 10, and I was done it by like 3:30 in the morning. So I read it very fast. I didn't put it down like the entire night. So yeah, this was a very good book. I highly recommend it. I also did buy The Unhoneymooners by her. I had it pre-ordered. That's also on this list of reading that I've done. But this book was really great. It was about, it's a friends to lovers story. So this girl is friends with 4 guys, and she works with all of them. And her one, like her closest best friend is, who she ends up, like, liking more. Some stuff happens. I'm not going to tell you what, because then you wouldn't read it. But I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. It was amazing. So yeah, definitely pick it up. The next book that I read was Stalking Jack the Ripper. So as most of you probably are aware, I was extremely excited to read this book, and it fell flat for me. I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. I pushed myself through reading it. I forced myself to not skim through the book to find out who the killer was, but it was just stupid. I ended up guessing who the killer was from the beginning. I read a lot of reviews on this book after I finished the book, and everyone was like, oh my god, the killer was such a surprise. I didn't expect that to be the killer, and I figured it out in the beginning, so I don't know how they didn't figure it out, but whatever. This book, for me, was boring and predictable, and I didn't like it. I will never probably pick up another book by Kelly Maniscalco. Maniscalco? I don't know how to say her name. But yeah, it took me 6 days to read this book, because literally every time I picked it up, I was falling asleep. So, yeah, it was not good. Yeah. I gave it back to the store. I had the next 2 books in the series from the library so that I could read them. And I hated the series, so I brought them back, and I traded in Jack the Ripper for different books. So yeah. The next book I read was Mr. Control by Maya Hughes. This book is signed. I got this sent to me by Adore Romance. She usually does some giveaways at the end of a month. Not every month, but sometimes she does. And I was lucky enough to win one once. And I had picked this book. So she sent it to me. And yeah, I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah, so, excuse me. Let's see if I can remember. Okay, so yeah, this book was about this chick named Esme, who was kind of down on her luck. She was a waitress. She had just got kicked out of her apartment because her friend believed that she was hitting on her boyfriend when it was actually the opposite. So she was on her way to a homeless shelter for the night. But earlier, I think it was the day before that happened, she met this guy. What's his name? Oh no, Esme's the kid. Melanie is the woman. Oh, well, what's his name? Raise? I don't know. Whatever his name is. He's a billionaire. He owns a company. I don't remember what he does, but he owns like a penthouse. I think they're in New York. They're in New York, Chicago, or Seattle. Not sure which city it is. I don't remember. But, sorry. He has a daughter. The mother of that daughter had died beforehand, so he's a single father. And he is a billionaire. And then his little girl, Esme, runs away one day when they're at the bank. And he finds her in Melanie's restaurant. And then he later finds out that she's staying in a homeless shelter, or tried to go to a homeless shelter. So he offers her a job being Esme's maid. And yeah. Excuse me. I thought it was really cute. I will read it again eventually. Not anytime soon, because I have way too many books to read right now. But yeah, I thought it was really great. I would definitely read it again. And I've ended up finishing this series. So the next book in that series isn't actually called All His Lies, but that's what they've changed it to on Goodreads. So I don't remember what it's actually called. Maybe it tells me in the book. It's called Mr. Ruin. The second one is called Mr. Ruin. So Mr. Ruin is about Rise's assistant falling in love with his enemy. That was a really good story. It's more of a BDSM-ish story. It was really good. I liked that one more. I actually gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And then the third book is called Mr. Wicked, and that is a second chance romance. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't like it as much as the other two. I was honestly hoping that one of the stories would have been Rise's security guards, because I loved him, but unfortunately it wasn't. It ended up being about his enemy's friend and this other guy. I don't remember who it was. I didn't really particularly like that story, so yeah. It was okay, but I liked the second one the best. And then I read Meet Cute by Helena Hunting. This was my first Helena Hunting book. I had already been warned by quite a few people that this book was more serious than it was cute. I had thought it would be more of a cutesy book, but it was serious. But I enjoyed it. I loved it. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. So basically this book is about these two. He starred in a show when he was a child. And she absolutely loved the show. It was her favorite show. And then she went to college, and he ended up being at that same college, but he was trying to go under the radar, so he hadn't really told anyone that he was famous. But she knew who he was, because she was obsessed with him. The beginning of the story, there is a meet cute of how they met. But they ended up meeting in college, and then they became like rivals to each other because they were competing to be who would be the best in the class. And then eventually, because there's only like 3 chapters of them being, well, it goes back and forth, but like at the beginning, you only get 2 or 3 chapters of them being in college, and then it's mostly focused on them being how they are now. But she ends up being pissed off at him because she left him in charge of turning in one of her papers at the end, and he ended up getting a better grade because his was turned in on time when hers was turned in late. And then later on, he ends up going with his parents to her law firm to set up a trust for his sister. And then, yeah, stuff happens from there. It is a really cute story. I loved it. I will definitely be reading it again, and I will be getting more Helena Hunting books. I do believe I have another one of her series here. I just don't know what it is at the moment, but I am planning to read it fairly soon. But yeah, it was a very good book. And then I read Fight or Flight by Samantha Young. I wasn't particularly fond of it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It is essentially about these 2 people that meet at the airport. Their flight is canceled, and, well, it wasn't canceled at the time. So she was planning to upgrade her flight to first class, but the guy ended up bombarding in front of her and got the last seat in first class. And then she told off the airplane person, and then she ended up trying to go get a coffee, and he was there, and she tried to get the last table that was there, but again he stole it. And then the flight was delayed, and they ended up staying at the same hotel, and then they ended up having sex, and then they ended up on the next plane. And yeah, it was just, I don't know, maybe I just didn't like it because it was so predictable, but I just felt that the characters in it were very flat to me. So I returned that book and I got a different one because I wasn't very excited about it. So yeah, probably an unpopular opinion because I know how many people actually really love that book, but I did not. And then I read The Professional by Kresley Cole because I had been referred or recommended to read that series, and I absolutely hated it. There was no part of that book that I enjoyed. It sounded really good, and I was really excited to read it, but it was flat. The characters had no structure, and there was no story. So this woman was in college, and she was searching for her dad because she knew that she was adopted or whatever. And she hired a private investigator to help her find her father. And then the private investigator stopped answering her. And then she went out to the bar with a couple of her girlfriends one night, and this moody guy walks into the bar, and she goes up to him, starts hitting on him, and he gets mad at her, and then storms out. And then she goes home, does some nightly routine stuff, and then she is masturbating, and she opens her eyes, and he is standing in the doorway to her bathroom. She's doing it in the tub. And then he, like, meets her in the bedroom, because she storms out of the bathtub, and she's like, what the hell are you doing in here, blah, 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 as any person would. And then he proceeds to tell her that she has 5 minutes to pack because they're going to Russia. And, yeah, she doesn't pack, so he ends up picking her up in her towel and taking her to this private airplane, where she later finds out that her father is like a mafia boss of some sort, and it's stupid. I didn't like it at all. I didn't even finish that book. I was so close to being finished, and I just gave up on it because it had no interest to me. It held absolutely no interest to me. So I will not be reading that book again, unfortunately. And then I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I loved this book as well. It was a 5-star read for me. It was predictable, but I absolutely loved this story. I thought that the author did a very good job about it, and it was amazing. It's an enemy to lovers romance, so maybe I just really like those books. I'm not sure. But this is a story about this couple. It's not actually about them, but there's this couple that's getting married, and then the bride's sister is the main character, and the groom's brother is the other main character. They hate each other because they've been forced to. So they all go to the wedding, and the wedding, for some reason, is serving a seafood buffet. Shocker. Everyone ends up getting sick. I mean, it's necessary for the story. I loved this story. It was wonderful. But yeah, they all get sick. The man that we're talking about, the brother of the groom, he doesn't do buffets, so he didn't get sick. And then the bride's sister was allergic to shellfish, so she also didn't eat the buffet. So neither of them are sick. The couple that got married, is sick. They have food poisoning, so they can't go on their non-refundable honeymoon. So instead, they send the brother and sister, who hate each other, on this honeymoon. And they have to pretend that they are in a relationship and in love. Sorry, Lucky is currently scratching himself. Bibaboo. Please stop. Thank you. It was an amazing story. I will definitely be reading this book again. I absolutely loved it. If you haven't read it yet, definitely check it out. And then the last 3 that I read, I'm going to say 3 because they're a series. I read After by Anna Todd, and then I read After We Collided by Anna Todd, and After We Fell by Anna Todd. These are not small books, so they took me well, not really, just this last one took me a while because I had a lot of wedding stuff going on this week, but I absolutely love them. I am planning to read the last 2 books in this series. I'm planning to start them as soon as I'm done making this video. But I absolutely love the series. I got recommended it by Falling Over Books. I think her name is Nicole. And I couldn't be happier that I picked it up and started reading it. So it is a romance with a lot of struggles. I think I like it so much because it makes it seem more real, even though it's over the top at some points. But it's a drama roller coaster, and I love it. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but I would definitely suggest picking it up, and I am planning to pre-order the movie so that I can watch it. In Canada, it comes out on July 9th. So I'm gonna buy that and then watch it the first time. So yeah, but that is my May wrap up. Sorry this video is so long. I hope some of these books interest you. If they do, or if you have read any of them, let me know what you thought of them, or what book you are going to pick up that I have mentioned, if any of them interest you. If not, that's okay too. But I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.